Okay, so you're going to see, this is my work, but I'm going to show you some work from other people in this class and in the other class that happens this morning. And we're going to look at some of the common mistakes. There's no names on it, so don't worry, it's all anonymous. But you might see your work up there. But I want to show you for a couple of reasons, great things that people are doing. So we'll come back to these in a minute. But let's take a look here. So here's somebody's work. So let's talk about this. Tiny little mistake here. It's not what I'm intending to point out, but there's a tiny little mistake here, right? If it was scanned in color, you could see the green there. But overall, look at the fantastic steps. Most of these answers are right. This answer's a little bit off, but that's not a big deal. Look at the steps. They're great steps. Like, they've shown their work. It's easy to follow. It looks like my work. It looks like other people's work in the class. It's really, really good. So what happened here exactly? If you made this mistake, this was a common mistake. Lots of people made it. What this person did is they saw they had the -3 times -2, and that gave you a 6. And so they wrote 8, and they said, well, I've already used this minus sign, so I guess I'll just write 6. But you can't change something from adding or subtracting to multiply. Like, that never happens. It was subtracting. In the next step now it's multiplying. Whoa. Okay, that's a big no-no. So how could you avoid that mistake? Here's how I would do it. I would write down the 8, and I would do -3 times -2. And what's the answer? It's +6. So I'm adding. Okay? You can change from subtracting to adding, kind of, right? Like, because I multiplied and the result I got was positive, a +6 is the same as adding 6. That's what it means to be positive. If a number is negative, you are subtracting it. If a number is positive, you are adding it, right? If somebody gives you $10, you add it to your bank account. If somebody says you owe them $10, that's like -10, you subtract that from your bank account. So adding and positive are the same thing. Subtracting and negative are the same thing. Okay, so try to keep that in mind. Watch for these little mistakes. I really want people to recognize that even if you had to, here's what some people do. They get their quiz back, they get their test back, they see red writing all over it, they see a terrible mark, they crumple it up and shove it in their bag, or they recycle it and throw it out or something like that. If it's a quiz or a test, don't throw it out, please. Keep those. But if you're upset about the mark and you want to put it away, like, I get that. But please, for learning goals, don't. If you see green writing all over it, and you think that means you've made a bunch of mistakes, it might not, but also it's not a bad thing. Don't put it away. Listen to me carefully. Why would I expect to teach you something one day, you practice it a little bit in class, you practice it a little bit in MSIP or at home, I hope, and then you come in the next day and you're awesome at it, you're an expert, you're perfect, you know everything about it, and you'll never make a mistake. As if. Like, give me a break. Teachers don't expect it, shouldn't expect that of you. I hope you've tried. I hope you're starting to get it, but I wouldn't expect you to be perfect and make no mistakes. That's the point of the learning goal. So you get a bit of feedback, you get to reflect, you get to find your mistakes, what you do understand, what you don't understand. That's the whole point. If all you do is see a bunch of mistakes, crumple it up and throw it away, it was a waste of time from the beginning. The whole point of the learning goal is the reflection process. So please keep that in mind. Keep it out on your desk. If you've already put it away, which nobody doesn't look like has, get it back out, look at it, follow along, and think about those mistakes. Okay, how am I going to not make that mistake next time? That's where really strong, solid learning takes place. Okay, so this is one of those little mistakes. You might have made it, but you're like, this person made that mistake, but their steps are awesome. This is great work. I would be proud of this. Look at, here's somebody else's work. Again, great steps. It's fantastic. They didn't finish this question, got stuck, didn't understand something. Fine. All this other work to me is what I focus on. This is awesome work. But let's figure out how to do this one. Let's not just ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, but look at all the positives here. Another one. I didn't handpick these. These were just a bunch sort of picked up from the top of the pile. And every single one of them was great. Fantastic steps. This one looks pretty perfect. All the answers are right. But more importantly, the steps are great. Some people got all the right answers, but their steps were terrible. And I wrote that, like, your form's bad. This is no good. I'm not even going to mark it. Okay? Keep that in mind. Again, here's another common mistake. We'll talk about this one after. It's really small, though. Don't be embarrassed. Oh, you got the wrong answer. Big deal. Do not be embarrassed. These are great steps, great work. Again, another mistake. And some people see X's. And some people see X's and it like gives them anxiety. Oh, no, I got it wrong. No. This is great work. 3 mistakes, but that's okay. I'm more worried that you're trying and that you're doing the steps properly, okay? Another one. Look, another similar mistake, but still really good steps. Another one, really good steps. Okay, all over the place. That's all of them. So keep that in mind whenever we're taking up learning goals. Try not to get down on yourself. The worst thing you can do is give up, right? And I'm sure some of you have been there where it feels so hard. You get partway through the semester and you're sort of like, okay, I'm going to dig in and I'm going to try a bit harder. And then all of a sudden it's just too hard and you give up. But that's when things really fall apart. So try to keep at it and come see me if you need help. Okay, so let's talk about this. I'm going to go through these quickly. Find your mistakes, reflect on them. When we take up that question, make sure you either change it or just think about it. And if I go too fast and you have a question, stop me. So this one is -2 times -6, which gives me +12, and then just divided by -3 is -4. We already talked about this one, so look what I did. 8 plus 6 minus 10. I do a question like this all in one shot. In fact, do it on your calculator. 8 plus 6 minus 10. Some people showed their work's not wrong. 8 plus 6 is 14, so you did that, right? And wrote it down. But you don't have to, so you speed things up a little bit if you want. Somebody down here did it a little bit differently. Look at this. It's interesting, though. It's good. So they just did 3 times -2 gives you -6 and kept that negative sign there. And then 8 minus -6 is still 8 plus 6, which is 14. So it's still right? A little bit different. But they showed their work. Totally makes sense. I follow it. There's no mistakes. Awesome. Okay. Next one. I did a little diagram up here about how you do this. So it's brackets. I have to do that first. So take a look. Okay. This is how I do a question like this. It's a number line question. This -1 tells me where to start. So you can see it up here. -1 is where I start. And then I follow the rest of the question, and the minus sign tells me which direction to go, and the 3 tells me how much. So I go down 3, and then I go down 2 more. I do it all in one shot. And I end at -6. In a number line question like this, I don't use any rules. 2 negatives makes a positive, and a positive, no. This tells you direction, and that tells you how much, and then wherever you end up, that's the answer. Okay? But so then I get -6, and this is where you do use the rule, because these signs are all on different numbers. -1, -3, -2. This number has 2 signs. That's where I do use the rule. 2 negatives makes a positive, and I showed that work. You don't have to, but I chose to, just for you, right, for clarity. -2 plus 6 gives me 4. This one, I do a little bit of work on the top. 5 minus 11 is -6. 14 divided by -7 is -2, and -6 divided by -2 is +3. That one was well done. This one just had this little trick right here. So it had, is it -16? 4 squared is 16, but should it be -16 or +16? Because the negative sign is inside the brackets, it's like -4 times -4. So 2 negatives makes positive, so it should be +16. Just watch for that. Some people put 8. 4 times 2. It's an easy mistake to make. I know you know what an exponent is and that the answer is not 8. But that is a moment for you to reflect, oh yeah, I know better than that. How am I going to stop myself from making that mistake? Okay, and this one's a little bit longer, but it was really well done. So here's that same thing again, -2 minus 1. Start at -2 and go to the left 1. That ends at -3. -3 all squared is 9. And then I multiply 2 times 9 and multiply before I add. And I get 18 plus 6 is 24. Some people did add here first. That's a BEDMAS mistake. So if I wrote this on your sheet, that means you made a BEDMAS mistake. So you got to remember those always. Some people made it here where they added before they multiplied, or this was a common one. 8 minus 3 is 5. Remember we talked about that in that lesson. So be very, very careful that you don't make that mistake. Okay.